Hello everybody, this is Conterez, and welcome back to the Legend of Zelda and our continuing quest for the Triforce, Princess Zelda, and enough footage to be able to say something about it. Now for those of you joining me for the last time, you'll notice a couple of things. One is we started where we started last time, at the very beginning, and also there's a lot more rupees than what I ended with. The first one is because in order to save your game, and this is just a aspect of the saving process, you always have to die, which is interesting, just running around a whole bunch of baddies committing suicide. And when you restart it, you always restart right there. It's just how it is, and since it's not horribly difficult to get from point A to point B, that's something you can work with. The rupee thing is a personal choice. I figured you guys didn't want to stare at me killing a whole bunch of random things hoping rupees pop up for an hour or more. In the meantime, here's a fairy. Figured I'd show you. They've popped up already a couple of times in random item drops, but there are a couple of locations where they just show up. You're like, hey, have some help. I'm like, thank you. Now, if you can see the 8-bitness here, they have a little antenna. Of course, the wings are easy because they flutter. No torso to speak of. It honestly took me a long time because they're such little tiny fairies. And I'm surprised. Blue usually means a higher defense. And I'm kind of mowing through these guys. But hey, they dropped a lot of money, so I'm not complaining. Try something, will ya? I will. I'm going to take these. We now have arrows to go with our bow. Since we have them, I'll show them off. They had a nice little idea in regards to the bow and arrow. Instead of having an extra slot for the amount of arrows you hold, like they do for the bombs, they just said, well, arrows cost money. If you saw that, take a look at the rupees upstairs, and I will fire. 1 arrow equals 1 rupee. That was pretty clever on their part. I don't think we've run into these guys yet. These are moblins. They have been around for a very long time. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, there are very few enemies in The Legend of Zelda that have not carried over in some form or another to other games. Octoroks have been around in literally almost every game until recently. Moblins are a common staple. Even those shaky drops were probably the precursors to the chews. Jumping spiders or tektites, those have been around. Most notably, first thing I thought of was the Legend of Ocarina of Time. The skeletons or the Stalfols. There may be one, but we're not going to see him anytime soon. When we get there, I'll point it out to you. Here's level 2. Familiar statue-lined entrance, and now we get to deal with snakes. Snakes that, for some reason, are very fast. Something that's nice about snakes, though, that room did not illustrate it at all, that you discover that the snakes are actually very useful when it comes to collecting money. And it turns out buying things becomes essential for this game. And there's a blue defense ring, which is useful, especially the further you go on in the game. There's meat, which you actually get to buy meat and you don't get to eat it yourself, which I think is kind of rude, but there you go. There's a magic candle that you need. I'll probably buy that next time. Improved shield. Things that are actually very useful. Some essential. So you pick up on places where you can pick up a lot of money fast. Of course, it's these guys give us our first $5. As we were talking about it, and I'm not entirely certain where the with the boomerang guys fit in. I guess there could be some kind of take on the Moblin, maybe like an indoor version. Day Moblins and night Moblins. Some just can't take the daylight. They're partiers. Maybe this music is like a nighttime rave. I mean, obviously, I'm tripping. Link, a one-man rave. And now we come to one of the more annoying early rooms. Because whose idea was it to have a second level room spit fireballs at you in every which way? Ugh. I live! And what do I have to show for it? A magical boomerang. And now everybody gets to enjoy the beepy noise. And whatever these guys are. I really don't know what these guys are supposed to be. I mean, they don't literally try and attack me, they just kind of wander around. So I guess, yes, the great adventurer Link, taken down by slowly moving circles. All the circles. Ooh, bombs that I don't need. And Link commits suicide by bat. So, in case you're curious, here's the You Died menu. And this is the only place you can save your game. Retry is an interesting option. It basically is a continue, but instead of continuing, you basically reset your progress. So, I don't know, because I never use it. Instead, I just jump right back. Right back into the action with my boomerang and my wonderful brown sword. Actually, to further show off my ignorance of how these games were designed, it wasn't until I got an actual description in Hyrule Warriors for the Wii U that I actually realized that the reason this sword is brown is because it's supposed to be a wooden sword. And I don't know why it took me this long to realize that. I guess I just wasn't thinking about the properties of my 8-bit sword. Which, now if you think about it, is kind of impressive. I took down a unicorn dragon. Why do these guys get upgrades? Anyway, I took down a unicorn dragon with a sword made out of wood. My being impressed with Link has gone up. Because I don't think You don't. You don't do that in any other game. Anywhere close. So the awesomeness of the original Link has gone up in my opinion. Here's to you, 8-bit Sprite Link. Of all the bosses and enemies, this is one that never shows up. I guess maybe it was their take on a mini-boss? So, hooray! Zelda's first mini-boss. Somewhat unimpressive. That's okay. Since this thing's just shaped like a big letter J, just zigzag our way to the top. Ooh, thank you. Dodongo's dislikes smoke. Excuse me. Singular Dodongo dislikes smoke. Well, should I take a fire with me, maybe? You got fire. Can I have that stuff? Ooh, I wonder if I can do this. I can. This is what happens if you try and mess with old men in dungeons. He tries and kills you. To my knowledge, it is not possible to actually kill him. That's kind of nice. The game punishing you for trying to attack NPCs. Something I was thinking about the other day. A nice little theatric touch is that if you are adjacent to the room with the boss, you can hear the boss roaring, making noise, etc. I always thought that was a neat touch because it kind of intimidates you. And then you have this. When I was younger, I called it a Triceratops because, I mean, seriously, that's what it looks like. But now, of course, we all know that it's a Dodongo. And Dodongos don't really dislike smoke so much as they dislike having things explode in their gut. And you know, I don't blame it. I don't think few things like that. Unless you're a fan of spicy foods. But anyway, there we go. We now have ourselves a Triforce. Peace. And that's 2 down. We also have a magical boomerang. Which, you know, it's nice to get upgrades. Very rarely do you get upgrades this quickly. If ever. I want to know how that Octorok costs me. To do that. Can I just... I can't. Well... That went ended kind of quickly. However... I think... that would be a good time... to demonstrate that secrets are not limited to dungeons. Because we can have living statues that go nutsoid when you touch them. Ow. And we also have... it's a secret to everyone. With Dodorukas attached. How nice of him. Those of you familiar with the Legend of Zelda games probably recognize that phrase, or phrases close to it. As it is one that has been following Link through all his reincarnations. Or incarnations. I guess incarnations, because I don't technically think he's the same guy the whole time. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that was the source. Guy just saying, here, take this. Now that I think about it, it seems a little underhanded that he would do that. I'm not sure if he's bribing you or maybe he's betraying Ganon, since he's a moblin. Probably on his side at one point or another. Buy something, will ya? I will. This is our magical blue candle. And with it, we can actually burn things. But only once per area. But hey, a little fire is better than no fire at all. So, ladies and gentlemen, with our second dungeon cleared, and our magical candle obtained, I believe it is time to bid you all a fond farewell until next time. So, if you saw something I missed, or have something you want to share, leave it in the comments below, and I will see you next time.